Hello, this is D. Allen with Life Lesson Sports. So, I wanted to let you know that I published my first book anytime in my life. It's a children's book, and it's called How Does Tap Water Work? And it's available in both hardback, paperback, 7 by 10, 8 by 10, different sizes. And it's available on Amazon. It's also available on my website, howdoestapwaterwork.com, and other retailers, walmart.com, barnesandnoble.com, Google Play, Apple Books. It's out there, the e-copies. It's out there. And yeah, it's available in ebook as well. If you're a grandparent, a parent, homeschool, uh, just an educator, if you're a part of a STEM program, it's really a must-have resource, and it's going to take you on a journey from the source all the way to the tap. Everything that happens in between, the rules, the regulations, the people that make it all happen, it's all there. So, hey, if this is something that interests you, how does tap water work? The conventional water treatment process. My first book that I've ever published, and it's a fully illustrated children's book. So, if so moved, go ahead and grab your copy today. And so, I want to talk about Shedeur Sanders, and I want to kind of go back to his college career at Jackson State, at the University of Colorado, as well as in the NFL his rookie year with the Cleveland Browns. One thing that is really it's just kind of ridiculous is the spin that some people in the media is putting on who Shedeur Sanders is. Quite honestly, as a football player, but as a person as well. And some of these statements, and many times by the Cleveland local media, that is disheartening. That you wonder, are they rooting for their local team or not? And just the things that some of them have been saying, and the propaganda that's being put out there is absurd. Okay. And when I say propaganda, I did a video previously and spoke on propaganda. And in essence, propaganda is telling a lie over and over again until you have inundated somebody's brain and made them believe it's the truth. But as we all know, a lie will never be the truth. And it doesn't matter how many times somebody says it or who's saying it. It doesn't matter. It's a lie. And quite honestly, this young man's name has been run through the mud, and his ability has been completely taken out of sorts. Okay. And we're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about his college career. We're going to talk about what he did in his rookie season. And we're also going to compare him to the other, uh, to first round quarterbacks that were taken in the 2025 draft, and and talk about their stats and so forth. But I think more importantly, their journey, their rookie season, because their journey was very different than Shedeur Sanders. And I'm going to give an example of a movie to try to shed more light on that journey and the difference. And so we'll get to that as well. And so just going back now, remember, Shedeur Sanders coming out of high school, he had major offers by major universities: Alabama, Georgia, Oregon. He accepted a scholarship opportunity. He actually committed to FAU, Florida Atlantic University at the time. That's a Division I school, to play there. And then once his father became the head coach at Jackson State in Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi, he flipped and he followed his dad to Jackson State, which is understandable, okay, that he would do that. So let's talk about what he did during the 2021 2022 seasons at Jackson State. He played in 13 games both seasons. Okay, so that's what, 26 games total. Okay, his true freshman year, he threw for 3,231 yards. He had 30 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and he had 65.9% was his completion percentage. Now, let's talk about, because I know some people gonna be like, well, he did this or he did that. So I'm gonna put it out there. Let's see. Interception, no, sacks. I'm looking for sacks. His total at Jackson State. Where is it at? I don't see it. I thought I had it one moment. Okay, during Jackson State, he threw, or he had 58 sacks. Okay, during that season, or during his career at Jackson State, 58 total sacks. During 2022, he threw for 3,732 passing yards, 40 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, with a completion percentage of 70.6%. Okay. Now, total passing yards at Jackson State was 6,963. He had 70 passing touchdowns at Jackson State, FCS, Division I, 14 interceptions. His passer rating was 166.8. He had rushing attempts, 188. He had 9 rushing touchdowns, and he had 79 total touchdowns. Now, he had a total of 156 rushing yards out of those 188 rushing attempts due to the sacks, because they subtract with the sack, that's subtracted from the rushing yards, okay? And so while he was at Jackson State, here's some notable accomplishments. He won the 2021 Jerry Rice Award as the top freshman in FCS. Okay. He was named the 2022 SWAC Offensive Player of the Year. He led Jackson State to back-to-back SWAC championships. He guided the Tigers, Jackson State, to a 23-3 record as a starting quarterback. He set the Jackson State single season record with 40 touchdown passes in 2022, and he finished as a finalist for the Walter Payton Award in 2022. So in case you don't know, the Walter Payton Award is it's like the Heisman in FCS. It's the top player, college player in FCS Division I football, and I want to say he finished in 6th place during 2022. So across 2 seasons at Jackson State, he threw for 267.8 passing yards per game, 2.69 passing touchdowns per game and 0.54 interceptions per game. So he had a stellar career while at Jackson State during those 2 seasons. Okay. So let's get into, okay, what did he do at Colorado? So in 2023, he played in 11 games. He threw for 3,230 yards, 27 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and 69.3% completion percentage. Okay. In 2024, he played in 13 games, threw for 4,134 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 74% completion percentage. So, all in all, in 24 games while at Colorado, he passed for 7,364 yards, 64 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 71.8% completion percentage. Major accomplishments. He's Colorado's all-time career leader in passing touchdowns with 64. He set the school's single-season records for passing yards in 2024, 4134, passing touchdowns, 37 in 2024, and completion percentage, 74% in 2024. He won the 2024 Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. He won the 2024 Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, and he finished 8th in the Heisman Trophy voting in 2024. He threw at least one touchdown pass in every game he played at Colorado and extended his NCAA Division I record to 49 consecutive games with a touchdown pass. Okay? Now, I'm not going to leave this out because I know some of y'all, but what about the sacks? All in all, his college career, let me give you this first, at Jackson State and Colorado, 50 games, passing yards, 14,327, passing touchdowns, 134, interceptions, 27, completion percentage, 70.1%, total touchdowns, pass plus rush, 151. Okay, now, his 14,000 plus passing yards and 70% completion percentage place him among the most efficient quarterbacks in NCAA Division I history. And I believe he has the highest completion percentage all time. Okay, so let's not, we're not going to leave that out. Okay, now, sacks. As I said before, while at Jackson State, he took 58 sacks. While at the University of Colorado, he took 94 sacks in 2 seasons. Now, some people say he's holding on to the ball too long. Now, one thing I'll say while at Colorado, he got sacked a whole bunch of times. And a lot of those sacks were due to Colorado having issues at the offensive line with the offensive line and pass protecting, and they could not run the ball. So teams knew when they play Colorado, the game plan wasn't even to stop the run. The game plan was go get Shedeur Sanders because he's going to throw the ball pretty much every down. Okay, now they, especially during 2023, okay, they had Xavier Weaver. He got drafted, or he's playing with, I don't remember if he got drafted or if he signed free agency with the Arizona Cardinals. He's still on that team, Xavier Weaver. And they had Jimmy Horn Jr. Okay, Jimmy Horn Jr. right now is with the Carolina Panthers. He got drafted. Okay, during 2024, he took 94 sacks. They couldn't run the ball again, and they seriously just could not stop the pass rush. They had major issues. I don't know if it was a talent deficiency during 2023, and especially during 2023. If it was just a major talent deficiency scheme, whatever it was, they could not block the pass rush. So at many times he was a bit of a sitting duck because as soon as he would get the ball, it would be people in his face. So 94 sacks while at Colorado. Okay. Now, one thing people need to just cut out is trying to make it seem like this young man is processing slow. He is not processing slow. He recently put a video out. He went back to visit Colorado and was breaking plays down based off of film. He had never even run the plays, but he could see what was going on, DB alignment, just different things that affect the success or failure of a play, and he's telling them what to do, what to look for, how this should feel. So people need to stop trying to say he's a slow processor or eluding it. They need to cut that out. And so that was his college career that put him at the top of NCAA history in a lot of the things that he was doing. And then going into the draft, he was projected to be a first round player drafted, even a top player all around on the draft board. Going into it, he was. Mel Kiper Jr. even had him rated as the best quarterback of the 2025 class, and that's ahead of Cam Ward that went first. Tyler, is it Show? Forgive me for mispronouncing his name. Jackson Dart. Okay, he was projected to go ahead of all of them, and Dylan Gabriel wasn't even in the conversation in terms of top quarterbacks in that draft. So he was underdrafted based on what he did in college at the FCS level and at the Power Four level. He lit it up. Okay, was he perfect? No, but none of the other quarterbacks were perfect either. He lit it up, and an industry expert projected him to be the first quarterback taken off the board and projected him to be a first round draft pick. But as we all know, none of that happened. Okay. So let's go into his professional career. Okay. So we all know he got drafted with the 144th pick in the 5th round. I repeat, Shedeur Sanders was underdrafted. And whether people want to acknowledge it or not, they know. Going into his sophomore season, his second year in the NFL, the person that was drafted in the 3rd round by the Cleveland Browns ahead of him isn't even in the conversation or the competition really of starting. Now, that's no knock against him, but that person isn't. He was overdrafted and Shedeur Sanders was underdrafted. Let me paint this picture. Okay. There's a movie, and I don't know if you saw this movie. I recommend you do because it is an excellent movie called Men of Honor. And it starred Cuba Gooding Jr., Robert De Niro. Okay. Cuba Gooding Jr. played a character named Carl Brashear. Okay. Carl Brashear, black man, back in the day, wanted to become a Navy master diver. And so during that time, And I'm not making this a race thing, but based on the movie during that time, uh, black people weren't doing that. Master divers, they weren't doing it. And when he got into the program, the system made it very hard for him to succeed. Again, I'm not making the Shedeur Sanders quarterback thing a race thing. I'm not doing that. Okay. But I want to give an example. The final tests, like their final, in order for them to pass and become a master diver, each candidate had to put together a flange underwater, okay, in their dive equipment. And the flange was pre-set underwater, and they were given a bag of tools that were needed to put this flange together underwater. So everybody else had the proper equipment, the flanges preset, and their bag of tools all together intact so that they could, and they were timed, how long it took them to do it. Okay. Carl Brashear, who was played by Cuba Gooding Jr., his bag, his flange was preset underwater, but his bag of tools was cut open and the tools was just thrown out into the body of water. And so now he's at a disadvantage. He's at a significant disadvantage. So at that point, he could have quit, but he didn't. He went down, he retrieved all the needed tools, and he put his flange together underwater successfully. And the water was cold. And it took him hours to do it. Everybody else did theirs relatively quick. The sunlight was still out. He had to assemble his underwater in the dark, okay, at night. And he barely finished. I mean, he finished, but again, it was hours later. The water was very cold. He was set up to fail. They didn't want him to pass. Okay. Now, let's take this, bring it forward as an example. Again, not a race example, but as an example of where these quarterbacks were placed in an environment where they were set up to succeed. Okay. Whereas Shedeur was put into a challenging environment where he was a four-string quarterback, not getting any reps. He was one of the hungry dogs, they called him, they were getting extra work. He was on separate fields. He was never running with the first team, and so forth and so on. Okay. So let's compare him and see. A lot of people want to just not acknowledge that. Okay. An example in that movie, Carl Brashear was not put in an environment where he could succeed like the rest of them. The rest of them put it together, came back up, boom, they called out their time. You know, excellent time. Not Carl Brashear. He had to go the long way, the challenging way. Okay. And so when somebody's bag is cut open and the tools just thrown in the water, and these folks, all of their tools stayed in the bag intact, and they were able to go down with everything in the bag, the tools needed, and put the flange together. Okay, that's different. You can't compare A to B. You just can't, because it's totally different. Okay. So now let's look at, we know Cam Ward was drafted first overall in the first round. Tyler Slow, again, forgive me if I mispronounced his last name, or Show, was drafted, I want to say 9th or 10th or something like that. And then Jackson Dart was drafted like 20 or 21, something to that effect. So when they play the season out, and every people want to say, or his his completion percentage was Shedeur's was low, or his EPA was low, or this or that wasn't right. Okay, you have to take into consideration Shedeur's journey compared to the other three quarterbacks. It was nothing similar. Number one, this young man's name was driven through the mud. All kind of propaganda, lies were told about this person, and he slid all the way to the fifth round. Number one, that can be mentally taxing on a person when you're expecting something else. Okay. This young man was expecting to go in the first round, maybe even the first overall pick, and it didn't happen that way. So now his mental journey is different. Okay. But he went through that with flying colors. He made it through that. It didn't tax him. No, I'm not going to say it didn't tax him mentally, because I'm sure it had some effect on him mentally, but he persevered through it, okay, and made it to the other side. Now, those other quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round, they were put in an environment. Cam Ward, the organization invested in him. He's getting first everything. He ain't running with the twos or the threes or the fours. He's running with the first team offense all the time. Okay. So he's being placed in an environment for him to succeed. That organization going to do everything to make Cam Ward a successful NFL quarterback when they drafted him first overall. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have done that. They should. He the first overall pick, okay? Number one. Number two, Tyler, that was drafted by the New Orleans Saints. I think that was like a top 10 pick. He didn't start the season off starting, but he was also put in a very good environment that was conducive to him succeeding. He's getting first team reps. He's getting second team reps. He started off as the backup, so he wasn't getting all the first team reps, but he was getting a bunch of them, and he was getting second team reps. It makes a difference. Jackson Dart, another one. He didn't start the season off as the starter and getting all the first team reps. But 3, maybe 4 games into the season, now he's starting. So he's been put in an environment that is conducive to him playing well. He's getting plenty of reps. But Shedeur Sanders, on the other hand, he's put in a situation where he's fourth string. Okay, you had Joe Flacco, you had Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and then Shedeur. They even brought in Snoop Huntley at one point, okay, because they traded Kenny Pickett away. Shedeur was not invested in the terms of he's getting first team reps, second team reps consistently. He didn't. He didn't get that until the game after or the game. So when over the summer, OTAs, mini camps, training camp, he didn't get none of that. Okay, he was getting none of that. They traded Kenny Pickett away, and so he was the third string quarterback. He wasn't getting none of those reps. Flacco and Dylan Gabriel was getting those reps the whole summer. OTAs, minicamp, the entire time, they were eating up all the reps. Kenny Pickett was hurt, so he never really got anything, and they traded him to the Raiders. Okay. Shedeur never got none. Okay. And so he started maybe getting some second team reps, maybe a few first team reps. Once Joe Flacco got traded, I believe to Cincinnati, and now Dylan Gabriel is the first team quarterback, and that was week 5 or 6. Okay, Shedeur still hadn't gotten none. So now Dylan Gabriel is the first team quarterback, and Shedeur is the backup. So all of the game planning for Dylan Gabriel, for Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Tyler, the game plan is being developed for those things that they do well. It's developed for them. That's not happening to Shedeur. Shedeur came into that game against the Ravens of all teams after Dylan Gabriel got knocked out with a concussion or something, right? The rate with no first team reps, or maybe he got a few. Finally, we're halfway into the season now. Flacco played about 4 games. Dylan Gabriel played about 6 games. So now we're at like week 10. The rest of those quarterbacks didn't experience that. So to say you can't compare them the same. Their situations were completely different. Cam Ward started all the games. Jackson Dart, he started probably 13 games, 14 games. Tyler, he started probably 11 or 12 games. Okay, let me see if I can find that. Let me see. So Cam Ward played in 17 games. Jackson Dart played in 14 games. Tyler played in 11 games. And Shedeur played in 8 games. Okay. Or yeah, we'll say 8 games. 7.5. Whatever it was. Their journeys were completely different. The preparation was completely different, but people they don't want to acknowledge that. But you have to. You got to factor it in. Shedeur's bag, in essence, was ripped open, was cut open the bottom, and the tools that he needed to put the flange together underwater were scattered in the lake. Okay? That's not the same as if somebody's bag was fully intact, tools all together, lowered down. Now all they got to do is go down, find the bag, find the flange, put it together underwater. Their experience, they were put into an environment to succeed. Shedeur wasn't. His journey was different. And to compare his stats to theirs is disingenuous because you can't. His preparation wasn't the same. Y'all, that's people be talking about equality. And again, I'm not getting into the race thing, but if you wanna judge somebody the same, give them the same opportunity. Okay, and now judge them, roll them out there. These players had a lot of first team and second team reps the entire time. They got continuity with the O-line, with the receivers, the tight ends, the coaches. The game plan is developed for them. You got to factor that in. It's got to be the same. And if it's not the same or even similar, then you can't compare it the same. Okay? And I know when you mention Shedeur Sanders' name, people get clicks and so forth. But it's not the same. And then when you start talking about, okay, the supporting cast, the offensive line, that Shedeur had was below average. Everybody else's line was average to good. Okay, on their teams, the receivers. Shedeur's receivers were below average. Everybody else's receiver position was average to very good to good. Okay. The running backs. Now, I like Cleveland's running back. I like him, and I think he's going to be real good. Both of them. Okay. Both of Cleveland's rookie running backs, I think, are going to be very good. But when you look at it, because the offensive line was below average, the receivers were below average, the running backs were rated as average. And the other quarterbacks, running backs, were very good, average, and good. Okay. That right there tells you how good their running backs were if they were still looked at as being average with a below average offensive line and a below average receiving core. The running backs were average. So when you talk in terms of timing and comfortability, the quarterback has to, you want your quarterback as comfortable as possible. And one way a quarterback is comfortable as possible is through reps, lots of them, and developing an offensive game plan specifically for that quarterback. Now, when you look at in terms of wins, let me go find that because we need to talk about that. Record as a starter. Okay, Tyler had 9 starts and went 5-4. Record as a starter. He had a winning record. I think he set a rookie record down there with the Saints for that record as a starter. Shedeur, okay, let's go back. I said 8 starts previously. He had 7 starts. Okay, he had 7. He played in 8 games because he took over during that Ravens game. But he had 7 starts. He went 3-4. Now, 3-4. You got people out here talking about he had nothing to do with those wins. Okay. You need to go back and look at the wins, which was against the Raiders, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. And you tell me he didn't have nothing to do with those wins. Now, I know during the Cincinnati game, the first half he struggled. But the second half, he balled out, got them in the position where they could kick a field goal. Isn't that what quarterbacks do? They don't always drive them down the field and score a touchdown. No, they get them in position to kick a field goal sometime to win the game. And against Pittsburgh, he went up against Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers gave him his props. He went 3-4. And quite honestly, the Tennessee Titan game, he did everything he could to get them to win that game. He threw for 364 yards, had like 3 or 4 touchdowns, led the team in rushing. He balled out against the number 1 draft pick. Cam Ward outplayed him. Okay. The Ravens, which was his first game, and they was blitzing him like crazy, still at the end, he gave him a chance to tie the game up. It was 23-16. He threw the ball. He threw the ball to somebody he trusted. Number 84. If you go back and look, that's his guy. He trusts him. So he threw him the ball, gave him an opportunity to come within 1 if he'd have caught it. It was there. The defender was there. It was good defense. The receiver, he could have caught the ball, but he didn't. He didn't catch it. Good defense too, though. So I'm not going to just say he just flat out dropped the ball. It was good defense. but he didn't make the play. Now, when you look at the film, he could have threw the check down to, I think, maybe Judy or somebody. He could have threw a check down, got the first down, and kept the chains moving. But he ain't throw it to him. I don't know if he saw him or not. He might have saw him and was like, I ain't throwing it to him. I'm throwing it to him. Okay, so he did, despite what his stats were that game, when it came down to it, he gave him a chance to win the game still. Right? That's what you want. And so the Buffalo Bills game against Josh Allen, he played well enough to win that game too. The Chicago Bears, he played well enough to win that game. People dropping, man, catch that ball. That's a touchdown. Don't let them pick it off. That's a touchdown. So you have to factor in all of those things. Cam Ward, he had 17 starts. He was 2-15. 2-15. Jackson Dart had 9 starts. He was 2-7. And people may go, well, he had 15 touchdown passes and only 5 interceptions. That's great. He should have. He had been getting reps, game plans developed for him most of the season. His situation was different. They didn't cut his bag open and throw his tools into the bottom of the lake. Everything was intact. He was put in a place to succeed. So I just wanted to go over some of that stuff. And let's put some things into perspective. And Cleveland media, stop making stuff up. Stop with all of the propaganda and saying stuff like, "Oh, you want the same thing to happen again like last year?" Like Shedeur was a distraction. Shedeur wasn't no distraction to nobody. What did he distract? He ain't never been a bad teammate. Go ask his former teammates about him. Ain't nobody never come out and said Shedeur Sanders was a bad teammate and he's a distraction to the team. No, that's propaganda. Those are lies. And the Cleveland media, some of them, they don't like Shedeur, and that's okay. They don't have to like him. But stop with the propaganda. Stop making stuff up. Stop lying. You can give your own opinion about something and say it's my opinion only. But quit trying to make it sound like it's gospel, because it's not. It's deception and it's lies. And so I wanted to come on and just talk about that. And I thank you for spending some time with me. This is D. Allen with Life Lesson Sports.